I'm building a new nether hub, but instead of focusing on the structure of the hub itself, I want to create a brand new, unique nether biome for the portals to be a part of. My goal is to design a distinctive area with a different color palette from other areas of the nether, while still creating a place that looks like it could be in the nether. Besides the creative challenge, I also want the hub to be a safe and easy place to navigate. In the last episode, we gathered together most of the supplies needed for the project, including a new skeleton farm for bone meal to run the moss farm, digging down an entire bastion for blackstone and gilded blackstone. I also dug out an entire slime chunk and made a slime farm so that we could gather slime blocks. Between episodes, I added a couple new layers to the slime farm just to make it work a little faster, and then AFK'd overnight so that we would have plenty of blocks available for the build today. I want the center of my hub to be the portal that goes into my storage room. So the first big hurdle that I'm faced with is the fact that this area of the nether seems to be one big giant block of netherrack. I just finished a couple huge digging projects over the last couple of weeks, so being faced with another probably larger project was a little bit daunting, but I was so excited to get started on the actual creativity of the project. I decided the best thing to do would be to dig out at the very top where I currently was with the portals and create the ceiling first of what I want the biome to be, and then I can continue digging down and then build from the bottom back up again. That might seem a little bit strange, but I've done projects before where I have to stack up with blocks or scaffolding, and I'm, working upside down trying to finish the design of a ceiling while reaching from quite a distance above, and it's just not super comfortable. Well, here I am. I've made a ton of progress, but I have so much to go. It's a little bit daunting. You can see from the center portal, which is the one I was telling you about goes into the storage area, I've put a couple lines out about 32 blocks long. Those are just meant to help me get a gauge for the size, but I think we might have to go bigger. But I'm going to start with this for now, and then we will move forward. But here's what I'm thinking. For the roof, you'll see I didn't go to any pains to try and make it balanced, and I did that on purpose. What I'm going to do is use the irregular shape to allow the blocks to build up in kind of a really cool way. That way it's not super straight and flat. I'm going to go in with a few different colors, mostly the green wool and the moss, and just kind of weave them back and forth. My goal is to finish the entire roof of the area, and then we'll start talking about the rest. I'm probably a fourth of the way done putting the green ceiling up in just the really restricted area that I had planned on. So I'm over here in town making resources. I'm chopping down the extra coal and I'm bringing over all my extra iron. I've got to trade it off for emeralds, and I've got to use those emeralds to get more terracotta. It's the thing that I'm really running out on. I don't have a Badlands anywhere within the boundary, so I have to trade for all my terracotta. I knew I was probably going to want a lot of green when I was doing it, so I did focus my masons so that I have at least 2 of them are providing green. I can't convert the other terracotta colors to make the green from green dye because that requires a mod and I don't have it installed. So I'm doing the grind, a very different grind than I expected because I thought I'd gathered most of what I needed, and in fact I didn't, not by a long shot. So I'm harvesting the wheat and gathering the wheat and trading it off for emeralds, and the coal breaking down for emeralds and trading the iron for emeralds, and the emeralds to make the trades for the terracotta, and it's getting very, very old. I've decided I need a new solution, something a bit more sustainable. So I've used the cactus to make a bunch of green dye, and the green dye into a bunch of green concrete, because at least I have the ability to go dig up a bunch of sand and gravel if I need it. I'm over here in the second silo because I think I can put together a converter for the concrete, because I can't use the powder on the roof of the nether. Obviously I need to make it into regular blocks, so I gathered the supplies to put together a tiny little converter. inside the silo. I haven't made one of these in a while, so I tried to put it together just based on memory, which is a little bit of a task for me when it comes to redstone, but I'm trying to push myself to really know and understand the redstone when I'm using it instead of just following a tutorial. Needless to say, I built it wrong, and then I redid it and built it wrong again and redid it, but the third time around, that was the trick. It was finally working as intended, and I was able to sit here and very quickly change over all the concrete powder into concrete blocks, and I'm hoping that will really help to change out this need for so much terracotta. I'll still trade for some and mix it in, but now I'm going to use a lot of concrete too. Here I go, back to working on the green ceiling for my fresh new biome. This tight little space was a little bit tricky to film in, just finding an angle where you could see what I was doing, but it was fairly repetitive with just the different colored blocks down in little clumps next to each other. I'm feeling pretty great about the progress I've made so far. I love the way the combination of greens look in the room, and I like the way that it spreads like vines out into the areas around it. I'm certain that the biome I'm creating is going to be larger than the space I already have. I just wanted to make sure it was at least this large and that the cavern that I was creating already had the ceiling in place. It'll be interesting to see how it works into the nether around it as I take everything out. Now that everything is dug out, I have a better idea of the space that I'm looking at to create this biome and how it's going to work into the biomes nearby. As you can see, it's actually quite a large space, and the roof where I have the ceiling done in the green is effective, but it's definitely going to have to spread out a little bit further now that we've opened up into some of the bigger nether caves nearby. The next step that I really want to do is to stop and put the main portal in place. I go in and out of my portal into the storage room constantly because that's where I'm really keeping most of my supplies, so I'd like to go ahead and break it to bring it down to the ground and start just a little bit of a bubble where it's going to live. After that, I'll use the big wide open space to determine where the tunnels are going to go out from that main bubble, and that'll be sort of the hub itself. Then we'll have all the space ready for us to put down the actual biome. Here's what I've put together for that central hub now that I've moved the portal down. I wanted it to be very simple. I think both the quartz and the deep slate could use a little bit of texturing with a couple other blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and do that a little bit. And while I texture up the build, I want to tell you what my purpose was, or at least the goal I had in mind when I was building it. I also wanted it to be mostly made of glass because I'm going to be spending so much time putting a biome together. I definitely want to look out and see it, but the glass itself is going to help keep us safe from anything that might spawn. I don't know if you saw when I was digging out, but I probably had a dozen different ghasts spawn. When the ghasts see you, that is really hard to say. Ghasts see you. You do that 3 times fast. Wow. When they see you, they shoot the fireballs, and then the fireballs are going to blow up this biome that I'm working so hard to put together. In fact, when any of the hostile mobs try to see you, they could attack or do damage, and I want to be safe, and I want the biome kept safe. I just added a door onto the side just in one of the panels so I can get in and out to decorate the biome, because of course the plan is that the whole thing be boxed up. The tunnels will be closed so that none of the mobs can get in. Next up is to start putting down the ground, the dirt, the floor of the biome, and then we'll start spreading that out. That is what the black stone is for. I'm going to mix it up with a few other dark blocks such as black wool and black terracotta. We definitely want the texture that the extra blocks are going to give, but the black stone itself is going to be a majority of what goes down. You know what? Now that I'm looking at it, that white wool was just a little bit too bright to be spread out. And this black terracotta with kind of the brown tint to it, I think it could be rocks instead of the ground. It might be a really good contrast, but still sort of match. I dug out a little more space so we could see what was going on, and I'm putting this terracotta down just to make sort of a rough rock shape. Oh, I like that. It's too bad terracotta doesn't come in slabs so we could build it up with a few angles. I've had an idea. I popped over to the storage and picked up some dark oak wood, and I'm gonna go ahead and break it into slabs. It's a really dark brown. I think it might be a good contrast. Oh, I like that a lot. Check it out. These slabs are just what we needed to add just a little bit more texture to what can be rock formations now in the middle of the land. So black stone and black wool on the bottom, and the black terracotta and dark oak wood for the rocks. We can also use some of the slabs from the black stone, since we're lucky enough to have those, and vary the kind of the height of the land a little bit in and out of a few different places. There's a lot that we can do with that. Now I just need to spread this land all over everything. Now that all the black stone has been placed on the ground, I'm moving into the next step of this project that I'm really not looking forward to, and that is going to be moving the black stone up onto the walls. You see, there's this big old gap between the green ceiling and the black floor that's red, and that just isn't going to work for me. The same type of area exists all around this whole entire place, which is why it's going to be so difficult. It's way up high, and I went to a great deal of effort to put most of the green ceiling down when I was all the way up there at the ceiling, but now that the whole thing has been dug out, I've got this extra step, and I'm really not looking forward to it. As of now, it only took about an hour and a half to put all of the black down on the ground, so we'll see how much longer it takes for me to move the black stone up onto the walls. There are also several big chunks of land that just need to be dug out still. I don't have a lot of experience with TNT in the game, but I think it's time that I go ahead and just blow some of this up. It can't go that wrong. The TNT did not go as I expected. As you probably guessed, if you put the TNT and there's nothing under it, it falls before it blows up. So it fell and blew up a bunch of my stuff. But I've fixed everything and we've moved on pretty fast, and I know now. I've learned a lesson. Besides just digging things out, I was able to move the black stone up the walls. That was as painful as I expected it to be. It was almost 5.5 hours just fixing the different sides and angles and bringing the whole entire edge of the design together. There are still a couple areas that I don't love a ton, but everything's good enough. We can move on to the best part. By far my favorite part of the entire project. That is decorating, bringing in the environment with the details, and that is going to be a series of trees, plants, bushes, ground cover, things to make it look like an actual biome. I can't wait to show you how all the different things we collected last time, because we did quite a few different farms where I collected a lot of really weird things. So I'm looking forward to showing you how some of those unique blocks go into play for the design I have in mind. I also want to show you the different components I've planned and had in mind when we were gathering resources, but I myself don't know what the entire area, the full build, is going to look like when it's complete. So I'm really excited to see the final biome come together. The first thing I want to start with are yellow geodes into the wall. Just trust me on this one. Let's do one together. You can see what I mean. I've shifted into shaders just so it's a little bit easier to see. How I'm going to start is by outlining where I want this geode to be, and we're just going to cut it into the black stone wall that's already here. I want the edges to be kind of zigzaggedy, as if we broke into the geode. And I want it to be fairly circular, kind of similar to the geodes that we see that are amethyst. At the same time, we don't have the amethyst crystal. So we're going to have to represent some of the sharpness, some of that crystally looking kind of essence of shininess with other things. So I'm thinking probably good enough. Now we're going to dig it out. Now I'm going to use this beautiful gilded black stone and create a gorgeous border in a little bit of this jagged circular shape. I want the gilded black stone to help transition from the black stone into what's going to be a yellow geode. So we're just going to go around and make a little bit of a border. Okay, I've used the yellow wool and the yellow concrete to sort of bring a layer in several different places. I think I'm going to do a couple more layers and start to turn the corner and dig out a little bit more where needed, because we definitely don't want any of the netherite to show. Basically, I want a few more layers of yellow, but then after a couple, now and then I need to come in so that we're curving into a round circle, but I don't want to come in too steep too fast, or we won't have any space inside the geode to decorate. I'm feeling really good about the progress. I like that I can see a little bit of yellow around each of the corners. So now we're going to start going a little deeper, and I'm going to move in some yellow glazed terracotta, shroom lights, and magma blocks. I'm really trying to deepen the color as we get further and further into the geode, and I really want them to be, well, we don't have crystals, right? So it's not really a crystal geode. Instead, it's a magma geode, which is where the magma cubes are important, because it just felt a little bit more like it fit in the nether. For this step, I want the terracotta to kind of go on the outside edges. Those there, the outside edges, and come in towards the lighter colors. This is going to look a lot brighter than it will in the finished version, since I have those shaders on so that we can see a little better what we're doing here in the nether. And then those shroom lights, okay, those look so bright. Magma cubes in the middle, and we've kind of deepened the color as we go in. Hey, I think that's looking pretty cool. I can see there's one specific fix that needs to be addressed, and that is going to be these terracotta. I don't want them all to be facing the same direction, and I'd really like for the petals to kind of go in an outward movement. I'm using them substantially because I really like the way, I'm gonna have to figure out the right, none of those are the right angle. All right, let me try it the other direction. I'm using them because the petals give a little bit of that sharpness. It was as close as I could find to something that looked a little bit like a crystal edge. There we go, where they're going outward. These ones are already kind of going out. Oh, that's much better. One of the big reasons that I wanted to do these is because I wanted a little bit more of a light source in my otherwise very dark biome area. To kind of bring in some of the sharpness, that angle that I was talking about again, I want to bring in some panes of glass. So I'm going to do these back and forth in a very random fashion, with red ones towards the middle of the geode And then I'll start mixing in a few orange. I don't want them to touch too much. You see like this where you can see that it's a window next to each other? I don't want any of that. I want them to be much more haphazard and definitely circle outward from that darker center. I might have to work on right balance. A little, but not too much. Not none. Oh, I like that one where they're just kind of hanging from the ceiling straight down. Maybe a couple down here. All right, step back and so cool, so cool. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the shaders off. Now that we have a bit of a light source to work from, I can see what it's gonna look like without the shaders. I think it needs more glass, actually maybe quite a bit more than I was thinking, even if they do connect now and again. I think that's gonna be okay. Oh, I'm already out of yellow. And we're only on the first one. Yeah, maybe some different layers is actually going to be very cool. I haven't really thought through this part of it much yet. I figured I would keep them from connecting. I'm actually liking where some of the connections give us the depth of shape that I was really looking for. Yeah, where you can kind of see different shades behind it. All right, I'm gonna add some more glass in. I used much more glass, and I used the glass in a different way than I expected, but it did help to really bring it together and make it more of a three-dimensional decoration, and I really love the way that it came out. It has a really good, rough, earthy-based type of a feel to it, with also the lights, brightness to it that makes it look very much like a nether object. This is where the biome really comes to life. Here are the different elements I want to put in the biome. The biggest and tallest are these mushroom looking trees with the slime balls on top as the leaves. I think these are super silly. And then next to them, I've got these honeycomb looking structures that are put together to be a little bit like a cactus type of a shape, and they have candles on the top just to provide a little bit of light and difference in. Next down in size are these little plants here. I decided to go ahead and prop them up on the copper rods just to make them a little bit taller. Originally I had them just lying on the ground, and it was just a little bit too much of a block lying on the ground. Down from that we have the stalactites and some mushrooms mixed in, and all the way down on the bottom I have some kelp blocks that I've put together to add just a little bit more green on the floor. The combination of items gives us a really good variety of different sizes. I added a few glowberries to the bottom of the mushroom just to make a little bit of some lush greenery vibe come into place, and then you can see that geological feature of the geode in the background that kind of pulls those yellows together. I feel like this is going to be a very immersive and interesting environment, and if you ever have tried to make a biome from scratch before, having varieties of things from big, medium, small, and all the way on the ground is the secret to make that happen. Now all we need to do is disseminate all these beautiful elements across the rest of the biome, and we will have created our new biome. It's got a little bit of an alien look to it, but I love that. Let's get started. I am unbelievably happy with how this biome came out. Look at the little slimes peeking through the window. I added several slime heads all around everything just because I felt like they should live in this biome too. This is the portal that comes in from my storage room. So from there, everything moves out. You can go all the way down and into whatever other portal it is that you're looking for. But meanwhile, you can see everything through the windows. You may notice several little hoglins and baby hoglins up there. I put slime heads on quite a few of them that were in the area so that they could wander about and match the atmosphere a little bit better. I did include a couple of access doors so I could easily go in and out, and I just want to show you from basically ground up view what everything in the biome looks like. It's so dynamic to have the big beautiful green above. I love walking through it and just looking at the change, at the entire difference that it makes. Look at this guy. Look at him with the slime heads on. Aren't they cute? Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful adventure to create a brand new biome here in my Minecraft nether. With that, I'll see you all next time, and I wish you all the best Minecraft day.